This is Cashing Out on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, welcome into Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Sunday night into your Monday morning on the show. What a weekend it was in sports. The Masters did not disappoint. Incredible finishes all over the place. I mean, look, there were some fantastic round fours out there. There were some absolute implosions, including one by the guy who won it, Rory McIlroy. He had a really disappointing round one to kick off the Masters on Thursday in Augusta. Friday and Saturday went scorched earth, was otherworldly. And on Sunday, in what I hate to say has at Augusta become typical Rory fashion, it looked like it was deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra would say. It looked like Rory was going to choke it away. It looked like Rory was going to collapse. And while he did collapse to the tune of a playoff being forced against Justin Rose, the leader after round one on Thursday, Rory held on. He got the green jacket. The look on his face when the playoff was over, when he was the winner, I mean, the look on his face was one of ultimate relief. It wasn't pride. It wasn't elation. It was relief. A grand slam, 11 years in the making. The guy burst onto the scene in 2007, and almost instantaneously, in under a half a decade, had conquered 3 out of the 4 majors that make up the Grand Slam. But it was elusive Augusta that Rory finally slayed on Sunday. And the back nine was one of the worst back nines of his life. I mean, holes 2 through 10. He starts with the double bogey. 2 through 10, he looks like Superman, and DeChambeau is over there crumbling, and everyone was, Rory versus DeChambeau, this is going to be... DeChambeau crumbled. Bryson DeChambeau fell on his face. Frankly, it's hard for me to feel bad about it. I mean, Bryson DeChambeau, can we call the guy a tool? Can we call it what it is, right? I mean, you watch DeChambeau, he's like a YouTube creator, like a content creator who, yes, can drive the ball 400 yards and just smoke the crap out of it. But he crumbled. It seemed like it was Rory's day. And then not even the back 9, it was the back 8 for Rory. Hole 10 on, right? Or hole 11 on. And it just became nightmarish for McIlroy. But he holds on, beats Justin Rose in the playoff, which, by the way, I mean, I almost feel a little bit for Justin Rose. He had the incredible Thursday, shoots a 65, and then Friday and Saturday, everyone's calling for Rose to collapse, and he kind of does collapse. And then Sunday, plays 5 under. And bursts right back on out there. And he's an easy guy to root for. It's not that anyone was necessarily rooting against Rose. It was just finally Rory had his day. McIlroy gets his green jacket. And it couldn't have happened in any more of an up and down day. But he gets it at the end of the day. Let's hear from Rory on his up and down performance and the relief he was feeling after it was all over.
It was very tricky out there. It almost felt more like a U.S. Open than a Masters at some points, just with how firm and fast the greens got. But just really proud of how I bounced back from from the double on 1, from the double on 13. I don't know if any Masters champions had 4 doubles during the week, but maybe I'm the first. But yeah, just a complete roller coaster of emotions today.
Yeah, he certainly was the first Masters champion to have 4 doubles, but it doesn't matter because he is a Masters champion. Rory McIlroy has done it. He wins the elusive weekend in Augusta, and he enters rare air as a Grand Slam champion. Also, $4.2 million richer, so, that never hurts in and of itself, right? How about some of the other notable performances, though? I mean, you look at this leaderboard after Sunday, and it looks vastly different than it did on Saturday. Justin Rose, obviously, if you look at it, it's going to show a tie, even though he came in second because of the playoff. Also 11 under. How about Patrick Reed, 9 under? If you had a Patrick Reed top 5 ticket, then will you and the real Slim Shady please stand up? Because what a ticket you cashed. Guy went off 90-1. I think I saw 100-1 at some shops. Plus 550 top 5. That gets home. Obviously, the 90 to 100 to 1, close but no cigar. But a top 5 finish for the 2018 champion down there in Augusta. Scotty finishes 4th at 8 under. DeChambeau finishes tied 5th. Guy didn't shoot. He shot below a 70 each of the first 3 rounds, 75 in his implosion on Sunday. Speaking of implosions, how about Ludwig Åberg? I mean, he ends up shooting par on Sunday, but he was on pace for a top 5 finish. Him and Corey Connors, who finished tied 8th. Åberg 7th, Connors tied 8th. If you had top 5 finishes on those 2 cats, I'm sick for you. I mean, those guys were so slated for a top 5 finish right up until, Åberg with the triple. He bogeys 17 and he triples 18. 4 over on his last 2. I mean, this is a guy who, DeChambeau was crumbling. Åberg seemed like he was going to come out there and contest McIlroy. It didn't look like it was going to be Rose giving McIlroy a run for his money. It looked like Ludwig Åberg was going to be the guy to do so. And then Connors just, 3 over on the back 9, 3 bogeys and 6 pars. Just for a guy who on the front 9 started rough, got back to even, and then finished rough as Connors falls out to tied 8th. Shot 3 over round 4. Åberg a par round 4, but a par that was nearly a 4 under for the Swede. What a Masters it was, right up there with Tiger in 2019 in terms of one of the best weekends in Augusta of at least the past decade. Folks, you ready to get in on the action? I'm not talking golf anymore. We're talking ponies, because if so, First Bet's got you covered. Sign up now. You can access exclusive promotions and bet on hundreds of thrilling horse races every day, right from your phone or computer. Just go to firstbet.com. It's the number 1, STBet.com. Use our promo code VEASAN200. You'll score a 20% rebate on all wagers. First 60 days, up to $200. Don't miss out. Start betting today at firstbet.com. And don't forget to check out VEASAN at the Track. Mike Somich, Aaron Halterman, they do a fantastic job every Friday. VEASAN YouTube channel, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, with a replay on SiriusXM, channel 158, Saturdays at 9 a.m. Eastern. Going to look at the NBA playoff picture because it took until 82 games were in the books for every team in the Western Conference to finally have the standings set and have these playoff matchups set for the first round. And I don't think this postseason is going to disappoint. I think if you look at the East, it seems pretty clear, it seems pretty cut and dry that the Boston Celtics will likely emerge from the East. And I hate, by the way, for the record, I hate picking teams to repeat. I really don't like it. I look for any which way to avoid picking a repeat champion. With the Celtics, this team feels inevitable. And you saw it post-All-Star break, right? What was their win total? Post-All-Star, or at the All-Star break, their live win total. Because we went 2-0 on our live win totals. I'm on a stretch where I've been doing this for 3 years. I've never missed one. Literally, 2 live win totals at the NBA All-Star break. Each of the last 3 years, I am 6-0. This year, Raptors over 27.5. Phoenix under 40.5. Suns, by the way, 1-9 in their last 10. It was looking sweaty there. They decided to start winning a few games in the middle, and then they totally collapsed, losing 9 out of 10 to finish 36-46. One of the most disappointing seasons I can recall ever seeing when you look at a team's preseason expectations. But the Celtics at the All-Star break, their live win total was 59.5. And last year, the Celtics had an egregiously high live win total. I took the over. Last year, my 2 overs were Celtics Thunder, live at the All-Star break. Year before, it was 76ers, and the other team is escaping me. But the Celtics needed to literally do the same thing they did last year post-All-Star break to get over the win total. And I was going to go there, and I backed off. I went Raptors. I went Suns. Celtics get there. They finished with 61 wins. And it just really proves that this Boston team is bored with the regular season. And you can't say that about too many teams, too many sports. This Boston Celtics team is truly bored. They're like the Kansas City Chiefs of the NBA. They are bored with the regular season. And I know Cleveland gets the 1 seed, and I know Cleveland finishes 3 games ahead of Boston in the standings. I don't think the Cavs have a prayer in a 7-game set with these Celtics. I mean, these Boston Celtics shoot the 3 like they're Alabama, and when they want to, when they're invested, they defend like they're St. John's. The Celtics are as complete a team as exists. And look, will Oklahoma City be a tough task? You know, should they meet in the championship? Would the Lakers be a tough task? Absolutely. I'm not saying the Celtics are going to steamroll their way to back-to-back titles, but I think the value at plus 190 to win it all is better than laying 45 cents to emerge from the East, because the Celtics are going to have an easier path. I love my Knicks. I don't think my Knicks can hold a candle to the Boston Celtics, should that be the second round matchup. I already said I don't think Cleveland could, should that be the Eastern Conference Finals. I think the Celtics will have an easier path than anyone coming out of the West, because that Western Conference, with 8 teams who won 48 games or better, is going to be an absolute dogfight. And even if Oklahoma City gets there, or even if the Lakers get there, they're going to have to go through hell to get there. While I could see the Celtics getting to the finals relatively unscathed. I could see the Celtics getting to the finals. I mean, look, if they're playing their best, I could see them getting there without a single series reaching 7. So I think the Celtics will have such an easier path to the finals that they won't be as worn down as a Thunder might be, as the Lakers might be, as maybe a long shot at 15-1 the Clippers might be. And yes, at plus $1.35 against the Nuggets in the post-Malone era in Denver, I like the Clippers, despite being the road team in that series, despite having to go to Denver and play at altitude the first 2 games. I like the Clippers plus $1.35 there. Playoff Kawhi, Harden, looking the best he's looked all season. I think everything's clicking for the Clippers, who have won 8 in a row. So the Western Conference is going to be so much tougher, and it's going to make it that much harder for whoever emerges to compete with the Boston Celtics. Up next, going to take it to the Diamond. Our buddy Clay Link from RotoWire joins us here on Cashing Out.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Sunday night into your Monday morning here on the program. And as we get ready for the week ahead on the Diamond, going to take it over to the progressive guest line here. Welcome in our friend, MLB analyst over at RotoWire, Clay Link, into the show. Clay, how are you, my friend? Oh, still waiting on Clay. Apologies. Still waiting on Clay to get linked up. But we will be previewing the next few days on the Diamond with Clay, so we might as well get started, because there is a series price that I am very intrigued by. And it is the Kansas City Royals heading to the Bronx, taking on the Yankees, where the San Francisco Giants over the weekend just took 2 out of 3 from the Yanks. Logan Webb opposed the former Giant, Carlos Rodon, on Sunday, came out on the right side. Giants took the opener. And by the way, how about that? We cashed out the over Friday, over 8 runs. And game gets shortened due to rain. They play 6 innings. Giants win at 9-1. We get our over in a 6-inning game. Talk about a break, huh? But now Kansas City is going to the Bronx. And we're getting Seth Lugo opposite Cookie Carrasco, game 1. Look, games 2 and 3. I know Fried's going game 2, I believe, against Michael Wacha. It's going to be tough. But whenever you can get a road team who should go out there and take game 1, you got to take a plus $1.50 series price, don't you? Let's break it down with our friend from RotoWire, MLB analyst Clay Link, joining us now on the progressive guest line. Clay, at plus 150, what are your thoughts on the Royals to win the series in the Bronx that's about to commence with the Yankees?
Oh, good question. I think with Carrasco on the bump, as you mentioned, pretty good chance for Kansas City here. Yankees, 8-7, kind of treading water so far. But if, Kansas City has Jonathan India top of the order and, some of their bats are alive, like Pasquantino and Salvador Perez, I think they could easily get to Carrasco and win that series.
Yeah, Clay, talk to me about the Rockies taking on the Dodgers. I mean, look, if there's any time to get the Dodgers, I suppose it's right now, right? Losers of 6 of their last 10, but this Colorado team is atrocious. They might be worse than the White Sox. Is this team ever going to score again? What's up with the Rockies?
Yeah, it's kind of a developing story as to, will they score a run Monday night or ever again? It's kind of iffy right now. They've now been shut out 3 consecutive games after today's shutout, and that's the first time in franchise history for the Rockies getting shut out in 3 consecutive games. So it's really tough sledding. They brought up Zach Veen recently. They brought up another young kid today, Adael Amador, but still shut out. And you look up and down this lineup, it's fair to wonder how they're going to score runs this season, especially if they trade Ryan McMahon. Could be really tough sledding. So this Rockies team looks ripe for the pickings right now.
Yeah, how about the Atlanta Braves? Speaking of teams that nothing's going right for, Atlanta, and look, I always say it's too early to standings watch, but the Braves just a game better than the Rockies at this point. They're headed to the Rogers Center taking on the Jays. Game 1 is a pick'em. Grant Holmes opposite Easton Lucas and his impressive ERA of a flat 0. What do you like here in this game, this series opener Monday night?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because Easton Lucas really has kind of emerged from relative obscurity. A 14th round pick back in 2019, a waiver claim from Detroit last August, and now suddenly 2-0 with a pristine ERA. What's really crazy is that he's getting it done with a fastball that is averaged under 93 miles per hour so far this season. Mixes in the changeup against righties, sweeper against lefties, but largely throwing that fastball, that four-seamer. Usage rate so far through 2 starts, 57.1%. So he's putting it out there, and Major League hitters just not able to touch up the lefty so far. Consider me, calling me skeptical here on Easton Lucas, but it's now, it's up to the Braves to actually put together some consistent offense, which has been hard to find so far.
Yeah, and hey, maybe Lucas is just giving us a lesson that things in baseball might be gearing back, shifting back towards pitching instead of throwing. We get all these young kids come out there throwing 98. They've got no control. They get hurt. Lucas out there really pitching well for the Blue Jays. I mean, tamed the Red Sox lineup his last time out, and the Red Sox haven't recovered. Kind of spurred of this 2-5 stretch in their last 7. Now they're headed to Tampa. Tanner Houck, Shane Baz. What do you like in this one?
I think I'm going to lean toward the Rays side here. They're slight favorites from what I'm seeing. Baz has got a 1.38 ERA, and he's done it at home so far. So he's acclimated well to Steinbrenner Field. Will he be able to keep it up there? We'll see. But I've been really impressed with him. And, the Red Sox, Tristan Casas has been one of the bigger disappointments so far for me this year. Devers has finally picked it up a little bit, but they're really relying on that Wilyer Abreu start to kind of be where they're at right now at 8 and 9. So they need more players up and down that lineup to actually hit. And maybe it'll be this series at Steinbrenner Field, but give me Baz in this one.
Play Link with us right now on the Progressive Guest Line, MLB analyst over at RotoWire. Paul Skeens set to go for the Pirates against the Nationals. Could be some impending weather there in Pittsburgh, but I got to ask you, Clay, even on Skeens Day, is laying $2 with this Pirates team too risky? I mean, look, Paul Skeens, we all know he's the Cy Young favorite. We all know he's the, maybe best pitcher in baseball, certainly the most dynamic pitcher in baseball. But this team lacks offense. They lack a bullpen. They lack consistency. Do you almost on principle have to take a team, a shot, nearly 2-1, the Nationals, plus 180 against Pittsburgh, hoping that they can just tread water, get Skeens out of there, and then attack the Pirates' bullpen?
I think the process that you laid out makes a lot of sense, and I think it could be a payoff to go that route, but I think the weather is probably about the only thing that could damper Skeens' day in this one because it looks great. I haven't seen anything to suggest that there's a strong likelihood of a rainout, but some rain is expected in Pittsburgh, so that is kind of the only thing that gives me pause on Skeens. It always could be a situation where they get the better of Skeens. Kybert Ruiz has been excellent this season, and they got some good guys up and down that lineup. Alex Call has been, emerging as a decent source of on-base percentage, but I think it's going to be tough just straight up to take the Nats here. Again, the process you mentioned makes some sense, but I think just chances are Skeens is going to dominate in this one.
Yeah, Clay, talk to me about a series that doesn't get underway Monday, but on Tuesday, Reds, Mariners, Luis Castillo taking on his old team for Seattle. What intrigues you about this series outside of the Castillo storyline?
Well, the Reds 8-8 now with another excellent outing from Hunter Green. Usually for the Reds, it's just a perpetual climb back to 500, just trying to get there. So it's a good sign that they're already 500 this season, despite some issues. Matt McClain expected back Tuesday. Austin Hayes expected back Tuesday. So the Reds are going to get some reinforcements on offense, which is big for them. And, I'm excited to see how Castillo, I'm sure he'll get a warm welcome back to Cincinnati. But the Reds could get to him here. And they're finally, in that bullpen really clicking. And maybe the offense, if it finally comes around, this team could actually be a playoff team. This Reds team. I know that's maybe optimistic, but you can't hate a guy for holding out hope.
I mean, hey, would they finally have this go around that they haven't had in recent years with David Bell as a manager who knows how to win and who knows how to instill a culture? So if any team could, in an NL Central where the Cubs certainly seem like the front runners, but it's more wide open than any other division in the National League, it would be a Tito Francona-led team. Clay, one thing I want to leave you with, final minute here. When you're looking at betting series props, right, teams to win a series, how important is game one? And you look at a team like the Tigers, they're minus 165 for game one against Milwaukee. Is it a better bet to take them minus 125 to win the series when they're such a big favorite to win game one?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I think it's important, of course, and I think it's smart to have kind of that short focus because you guys can get hurt. Who knows? Even if it's only a few days, guys can get scratched. Things can happen. So, especially when a guy like Tarek Skubal's on the boat for Detroit in that first game, really gives them a good chance to win there. Detroit minus 162 road favorites in that game tomorrow. So, I think putting a lot of stock into that first game, especially when you got your ace going in that first game, makes a lot of sense.
And they follow that up with Jack Flaherty, game two, opposite Quinn Preister. So certainly expect Detroit to be favorites each of the first two. Why not go minus 125 on this series? Clay, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Hey, always good to talk to you, Joe. Thanks for having me again.
Clay Link, Senior MLB Editor at RotoWire, getting you ready for the week on the diamond. Coming up next, we're going to get you ready for the NBA playoffs. Rick Kamla joins the show, sensational NBA analyst and host. I can't wait to pick Rick's mind on the playoffs. We're doing it right here, Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo up next.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Sunday night, ultimately into your Monday morning. And as we get ready to break down the NBA playoffs, it took us 82 full games, but we've got the field, we've got the seedings, we've got the matchups. Who better to analyze them with than our buddy, host of the Fantasy NBA podcast on Sports Ethos, terrific NBA analyst, Rick Kamla, joining us on the Progressive Guest Line. Rick, how are you? How excited are you for the playoffs to finally get going?
I mean, it's a 6-month journey to get to this point, right? In terms of the regular season, we start basically around Halloween. We go all the way to about tax day, and bam, here we are, the play-in tournament, and then the playoffs. Happy to be on the air with you, brother, and psyched about the postseason, man.
Yeah, these matchups in the West, I mean, I'm salivating over them. You got, 8 teams with 48 or more wins? You're not going to get a better first round of NBA playoff action, I think, than we're about to see this season. Nuggets Clippers, got to start there. 2 teams finished with 50 wins, the 4 and the 5 seeds. You got LA sitting there at plus 135 to win the series. It's understandable they'd be a dog because they're going to have to go to Denver. The Nuggets at altitude have the home court advantage. How live are the Clippers, though, to pull off the upset as Denver enters in this, era of uncertainty without Michael Malone, without Calvin Booth? Do you think the Clippers can do this?
I don't, because James Harden's on their team. And every year when we get to the playoffs, man, and it's different. I mean, James Harden today, 39, 7, and 10. Like, what? And now we're going to get to the playoffs. He's going to have some good games early in the series. And then it's going to get to a game 5. It's going to get to a game 6, and he's going to choke. and he's going to be terrible. It's what he does every year. And so I year after year after year, and it's been a flawless sort of theme and anthem. James Harden is going to let his team down in the playoffs. His team is going to lose because he doesn't carry his weight. And I think that's going to happen again here. I'm not super high on Denver because of the coaching change. I think when you make a coaching change like this, it really disrupts things, and it's kind of a cannonball to your sails. But I think they're going to have enough to beat the LA Clippers. And it may not even be Denver beating LA. It may just be James Harden getting in his own way and getting in his team's own way again. The Clippers have, Zubac and Kawhi and Norman Powell, who's been a little bit weird since he came back from that knee injury. That's another kind of knock against the Clippers. The Nuggets, you've got Russell Westbrook. He's going to be fired up playing against his former team. That didn't end necessarily well. And like I said, the coaching change has me a little bugged out on Denver, but I do like them to beat the LA Clippers by the hair on their chinny chin, a.k.a. a choke job by James Harden.
Wow, I love the anti-Harden conviction come the playoffs. And I mean, we're hearing people talk about it. James Harden just can't do it. It's going to be interesting to see if he can alter that narrative, because that's plagued him for a very long time now. Sticking in that conference, got to ask you about the 2 seed, the Houston Rockets, because this is a team that, for the incredible season they just had and earning the 2 seed, Rick, they're getting no love. They're 25-1 just to win the Western Conference. They're the number 2 seed, yet on the betting odds board, they're the 7th shot. What do you think happens should we get a Houston-Golden State first-round matchup? Can the Rockets knock off the Warriors?
Well, I know Houston got a win late in the regular season against Golden State, but Golden State kind of sort of owns Houston. When you go back earlier this year, last year, and they had like some crazy long winning streak against them. So that's an uphill battle for Houston. But I think, look, I want to say this to you. Houston, coming into the year, was my little team that could. Every year I pick, whether it's baseball, football, whatever, I got a little team that could. It's a young, up-and-coming team that I like and I kind of plug into, right? And Houston was that team for me this year. I had no idea they'd shoot all the way up to 2 in the West, but I thought they would be a lot better than they were the year before, right? They'd be a spike team. They went to 52-30. Here's the problem. They've never been in a playoff series with this group, and that's a problem. When you're going up against Golden State, when you're going up against maybe another experienced type of team, experience in the playoffs is gigantic. And you can say, well, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, they have a ton of playoff experience and all this kind of stuff. That's fine. I get it. Ime Udoka as well. But this group with Amen, with FVV, with Jabari Smith, this group right here has never been in a playoff series before. So I'm going to fade them. I would probably pick, and look, I'm not really high in the Golden State Warriors. I think they're kind of fraudulent, but I would probably pick them to beat the Houston Rockets. I'm kind of paid to fade, these young, like I'm fading the Pistons against the Knicks. I'm fading the Rockets against whoever they play. And I'm not hating on them at all. It's just playoff experience. Have you been there before? Usually you've got to get in a series, lose, learn from it, come back and get better. And so I'm going to hang my hat on that.
And we've seen Oklahoma City follow that recipe. So now, Rick, I've got to ask you, is this finally the year that the Thunder emerge out of the Western Conference with this young core of their own?
I told Tim Murray this morning, I think they're, a -130 to win the West. I think that is a phenomenal wager. I don't think it's a wager. I think it's an investment. Go down the line. Who can you make a case for here? The Lakers? Okay, they're not nearly as deep as OKC. They're not nearly as balanced as OKC. They've got the killer big three with LeBron and Luka and Reeves. And then outside of that, it's a lot of question marks. OKC is just octane 1 through 10 in their rotation. And I think they're going to be a buzzsaw for all these teams. The Lakers stand out to me as the best possibility to knock OKC out, but I don't see that happening. They're not going to have home court. The Lakers are a fantastic home team. They're not that great on the road. And like I said, look, I mean, you don't have to go 10 deep in the playoffs, but you got to go 8 deep. The Lakers don't go 8 deep. OKC goes 8 deep all day long. And then you look at like the Clippers, the Wolves, the Warriors, the Grizzlies. No. None of these teams are beating the Oklahoma City Thunder in a 7-game series. So, to me, it's a question. Does OKC beat Cleveland? Does OKC beat Boston? I look at that, you know what I mean? It's a bigger question than do they beat all these teams in the West? There's no doubt in my mind they're beating all these teams in the West.
We got Rick Kamla with us right now on the Progressive Guest Line. Check out his Fantasy NBA podcast over on Sports Ethos. Rick, let's talk about the East because we've spent a lot of time on the Western Conference. Cleveland, Boston, it kind of feels like a 2-horse race there at the top. Who do you have coming out on top in the Eastern Conference?
I mean, it's tough. We talked about this before I came on the air here with you, man. And I got Cleveland. It's a leap of faith, okay? They have not made a long playoff run with this group yet. But, I mean, they got 64 wins, man. They've been killer all year. They've had a major chip on their shoulder. They're playing like, mad, like with urgency. And, Boston's Boston. They're fantastic. Their starting 5 is killer. You got Horford as a 6th man. You got Pritchard. You got Hauser. I mean, I dig it, dude. But Cleveland is deeper. Cleveland, to me, has stacked up very well with Boston in the regular season meetings. And I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I want something new, but I don't think that's what it is. It's just being in, the lab for 6 months, watching these teams, studying these teams, analyzing these teams. And I really love Cleveland. Their intangibles, their tangibles. I think they're ready to go toe-to-toe with Boston. There's no doubt in my mind that Cleveland would beat New York, Indiana, Milwaukee, Detroit, all of these other teams. The only thing that gives me pause is that matchup against Boston. They're going to have home court if they do meet up with Boston. And I got the Cavaliers representing the East in the finals right now and losing to Oklahoma City.
That would be a fun young championship if we get there. And look, Rick, I'm a Knicks fan. I obviously would love my Knicks to go on a run. Fact of the matter is the best basketball we could get in the Eastern Conference Finals would be that Cavs-Celtics series that you're calling for. Rick, really appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much for hopping on the show.
Hey, it's my pleasure, man. Have a great rest of your night.
You as well. Rick Kamla, make sure you check out his Fantasy NBA podcast over on Sports Ethos. Absolutely terrific NBA host and analyst. And I love the boldness of that Cleveland Cavaliers pick to emerge out of the East. Like he said, and I thought he worded it fantastically, it's a leap of faith, but you can get them now at the longest price they've been for a while. Plus 225 as Boston is minus 45 cents to win the Eastern Conference. I mean, at that price, look, you folks know the deal. I think the Celtics winning the East, maybe even winning the entire thing for a second straight year, feels inevitable. But plus 225 on the 1 seed, a team that's going to have home court, a team that has taken that incremental step, right? They had a great postseason jump last year. Now they might be ready to take the next step, the next jump. And I love the call on Cleveland OKC. More cashing out up next.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues here on VSiN with me, Joe Ceraulo. By the way, that could not have been any better than what you just got out of Rick Kamla in that last segment. Previewing the NBA playoffs. I can't wait. We're on opposite sides of a few things. Rick's on Cleveland, and look, he acknowledged, bit of a leap of faith pick, but if there's a team that can knock off Boston, he seems to think it's this Cavs squad. They're going to have home court. I certainly think it's going to be as good a series as you could ask for when you look at the possibilities in the Eastern Conference, but I'm on the Celtics. Also thought the Nuggets-Clippers bet. Shooting me down right off the bat with my Clippers plus 135 at Denver was beyond interesting because I get it. James Harden, that's the narrative, and he's created that narrative for himself that he is not a postseason performer. But playoff Kawhi, Zubats has had a hell of a year. Norm Powell's coming into his own. I don't know. I think with the discombobulation in Denver with the coach and the GM and firing everyone with 3 games to go in the regular season, and you look at how hot the Clippers have been down the stretch, I think this might be the year for the Clippers to finally make a little bit of noise. I don't think they're going to come out of the West. I don't think they're going to go past the second round, but I think they can make a little bit of noise. Like our buddy Nick Whalen pointed out earlier in the program, LA, Kawhi's last 14 games, 13-1 straight up. That, I think, is going to be something to pay attention to. Let's take it to the diamond here. We've got a few series starting Monday. Some wait until Tuesday, but we've got a good chunk of action. It's a pretty, I would say, intriguing Monday slate. And when we're looking on how to bet these series as a whole, this Tigers-Brewers series intrigues the heck out of me. Because we're looking at a Detroit team, and yes, they're on the road here, and Milwaukee is starting to find their groove a little bit and figure things out some. The Brewers, 8-8, after starting the year getting absolutely, not just swept, getting embarrassed by the Yankees. They've won 8 out of their last 13 now. But you got Detroit coming into town, currently with the best record in the American League, 9-6. Tigers, Angels, best 2 records in the American League. Who had that on their bingo card, even if it's just 15 games into the season? But to me, this is all about the pitching matchups that we're looking at. And you're getting a Detroit team that is priced on the series as a whole minus 125. Yet they're now laying on DraftKings 70 cents. Game 1, Tarek Skubal versus Tyler Alexander. Game 2, going to be Jack Flaherty on the bump versus the youngster Quinn Priester, former first-round pick by the Pirates, was in camp with the Red Sox and let go, now with Milwaukee. Has not really seemed to figure it out for a guy who was a first-round pick. And you got Skubal and Flaherty. Boom, boom, 1-2. Going up against Milwaukee, games 1 and 2. I mean, Detroit could win the first 2 games of the series. And if they don't, it's Reese Olson, game 3. Bit of a slow start for Olson. Last year, he put together some really nice outings, was really reliable, low ERA guy most of the season. Didn't have the best close to his regular season and dealt with some injuries. But, I mean, Olson was a guy who, was hanging an ERA right around 3.3, or 3.2 rather, going into September, where he had some late hiccups and was hurt a little bit down the home stretch. But Olson, not a pretty record a year ago, got no run support. Some good underlying numbers a season ago. You're running out Skubal, Flaherty, and Olson. Flaherty's been a K machine. Skubal actually had a rough first couple starts, but he was dominant against the Yankees last time out, as was Flaherty, who went for 9 strikeouts. We gave out over 6.5 at plus money here on the program, and he finished with 9. Those pitchers running out there for Detroit. Detroit's offense picking it up a little bit. Kerry Carpenter's had some big hits. Guys are starting to step up for this young Tigers offense. And, this was a Detroit team I criticized coming into the year. I liked them. I said it seemed like it was going to be between them and Kansas City, albeit I picked the Royals to win the division because Detroit didn't make enough moves. I wanted to see the Tigers go get Bregman, right? Go do something, go spend something. Their big acquisition was Gleyber Torres, who I don't view as much of a factor on this team. But I like what I've seen out of these guys. Riley Green has loads of potential. Torkelson might finally be coming into his potential. He's got a team-high 5 home runs, hitting over 300. Kerry Carpenter's got 4 home runs right behind him. So you factor in they're running out their best starters. The lineup is finally clicking a bit. I mean, why lay 70 cents game 1 when you can take them to win the series with their 2 best pitchers going games 1 and 2 at minus 125? I like that bet. I like the Tigers on the series. Another team I like on a series play, you're getting my Mets and the Minnesota Twins in a pick'em. I think that's a ridiculous spot. A ridiculously generous spot to take my Mets. Minus 110 each side. And I get it. Look, we talked about it. Game 1 is very important. And Minnesota is actually a very short favorite game 1 because they have the pitching edge. Joe Ryan going against Clay Holmes. On Tuesday, Tyler McGill for the Mets. He's got a sub-1 ERA through 3 starts. How about it? 2-1 with a .6. Opposite Bailey Ober. Ober was a long shot Cy Young pick we heard from some people preseason, getting as high as 70-1 on him. The 6'9 righty. He has not been able to figure it out. ERA is north of 7. Ober's been getting tattooed. That's Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, Griffin Canning David Festa. Festa ERA 0. He's pitched 4 2/3 innings on the season. So neither team necessarily running out their best pitchers for this one. But Joe Ryan, I mean, that game 1 is a must-win, it feels like, for Minnesota. I could see Minnesota winning game 1 and still losing the series. And I wouldn't put it past the Mets to get to Joe Ryan. The Mets are hitting for power. You know, it's funny, you look at their team metrics, right? And the batting average isn't necessarily there, but they're playing 2025 baseball. And it's something that the Mets, it feels like, have refused to do in recent years. But they're finally putting less of an emphasis on batting average. And they're among the leaders in the league in home runs, in OPS, in getting on base. And they're pitching. They're pitching to a really good collective team ERA, one of the best in baseball. It was sub 2 for a while. I believe it's over that mark now, but it's still one of the best in baseball. And this Minnesota team can't stay healthy. And this Minnesota team is struggling to hit. And, oh, by the way, this Twins team just might be in contention for being one of the worst teams in baseball this year. And that statement might cost me my job because I know our boss, Steve Cohen, loves his Minnesota Twins. But the Minnesota Twins, and this is not an overreaction to them being 5-11, this actually goes back to last season. The Minnesota Twins, since September 1st, a year ago, last season, 2024, have been the worst team in baseball. 13-28. Don't forget, we just talked about the Detroit Tigers winning the series against Milwaukee, right? The Tigers were dead and gone and were not going to be a playoff team. They took a wild card spot from Minnesota, or I should say the Twins handed it to them, because the Twins had an utter and embarrassing collapse in September. They're 13-28 since September 1st last season. The White Sox are 13-25. The Rockies, 13-25. And the A's, 15-25. Now, this was coming into Sunday, these numbers. So, beware, the Twins did win on Sunday. White Sox, Rockies lost. That puts them win percentage-wise in a 3-way tie. So they are tied with the White Sox and Rockies, worst winning percentage in baseball, going back to September 1st, 2024. Not exactly company you want to keep. So the question is this a fluky 5-11 start, or is this a trend carrying over from last year? And I'm willing to say it's a trend carrying over from last year. I don't see a lot of upside with Minnesota. I think what we saw last year was some guys overperform. The Bailey Obers, the Simeon Woods Richardsons, who, by the way, former Mets prospect, I love, just doesn't have plus stuff. Managed to keep his ERA low a season ago, managed to win some games a season ago. Very hittable stuff. Outside of Joe Ryan, I mean, even Pablo Lopez's K numbers, and now he's injured, his K numbers are down a little bit. This is a Twins staff as a whole that puts the ball in, that lets opponents put the ball in play. They are not a great defensive team. They are all or nothing offensively. This is a tough Twins team to get behind. Now, look, do I think they are better than the White Sox? Yes, I absolutely do. That said, are they a much better bet than the White Sox to potentially take a shot on having the worst record in baseball? Yeah, because that value that you can get right now, if you look at Minnesota in that market, might not be there in a month or two if this 5-11 pace, this 5-11 trajectory continues. Folks, do you want to know where the money's really going? If so, unlike other sources, our betting splits here at VSiN come straight from Circa and DraftKings, giving you insight into where the sharp action's landing. Circa's known for taking big bets from the pros, while DraftKings provides a broader market perspective. That means you're getting the real action, not just public money, but the kinds of wagers that move lines. See the percentage of bets versus the handle on every game across every major sport, helping you make smarter, more informed bets. Get VSiN's summer special right now for just $59. That's half off the normal monthly price until August 1st at VSiN.com/subscribe.